What is up? What is up? What is up? It is Sunday morning NFL Blitz time, and we have a pinch hitter today from the heartland of Chicago, Illinois, Mr. Reed Bianucci. He's sweating out the Jags plus the 5.5 and the money line as we speak. Reed, thanks for filling in last minute. How you doing today, my man?
I'm doing good. I've got my coffee, got football on in London. Great slate today. It's spaced out well. We have 1 in the morning, 6 at noon, 4 at 3. And then a great Sunday night game, so doing well.
Yeah, Sunday night game is loaded, absolute loaded day. We'd like to thank the sponsor of the show, Parlay Play. If you're not using Parlay Play, go there right now. Use promo code NFL Blitz, NFL Betting Blitz for 100% deposit match. And Reed and I are going to show you how easy this is to do. Pulling it up, I have 2 plays I'm going to parlay together. And it's all player props. They have NFL combos, CFL, MLB combos, WNBA, you name it, they have it. And you can search for the player. So the first player I'm going to look at, going to the old man. Give me James Conner. Pulling up James Conner. We're going to go over 64.5 rushing yards. Look, he's gone over this 2 of 4 games. 58% of the Cards carries he is getting. He has 5 times more carries than Ingram, who's the backup. So he's the guy getting the bulk share of the carries. Cincy is the second worst team in the league defending the run, giving up 157 yards per game. Next one we're going to one of the dirtier games on the board. We're going Lazard over 34.5. The thing to remember is this: when playing against the Broncos, Patrick Surtain shadows the opponent's number 1. So he's going to be shadowing old Garrett Wilson. This means that Mathis, who is 109 graded PFF DB. You know how many DBs they grade, Reed?
109.
109. He is the worst graded DB in PFF. Mooney went 4 for 51. Jacoby Myers 9 of 81 against him. Lazard's gone over this 34.5 yards in 3 of 4 games. So we're going to go over here. We're going to hit more rushing yards, more receiving yards. Boom. Go all the way down. Going to do the old traditional quarter unit standard. Hit 25. We're going to go 2X. We're going all in. Hit place. And boom. We are in. Another thing they have here is they have this free-to-play contest. We're just going to bundle through this real quick. Reed, Alvin Kamara, over under 51.5 yards. What do you think?
Under. Saints offense is anemic.
I agree. Plus, Belichick's too smart to let it go in the right spot. Nico Collins, over under 52.5 yards.
He's been hot recently. I think he's going to have a lot of chances against the Falcons secondary. I'll say over.
Jared Goff, where do you think he's going to pass? Plus 323, 286 to 322, 248 to 285, 211 to 247, 147 to 210, or under 173.
I think Detroit handles Carolina pretty well, and I don't think he has to throw too much. So I'll go 211 to 247.
Anthony Richardson, passing yards, over 263, 233 to 262, 202 to 232, bucks 72 to 201, 142 to 147, or under 141.
I'd say 202 to 232. It seems right for him.
Lamar Jackson, under 147 passing, 148 to 178, 179 to 209, 210 to 241, 242 to 273, or over 274.
Let's get crazy. Let's say 274 up. The running game might be in trouble. I think they might have to air it out today.
DeVonta Smith, over under 63.5 yards receiving.
Over.
Zach Wilson. Should we just go here? Under 1.
Yeah.
Under 144, 145 to 175, 176 to 205, 206 to 236, 237 to 267, or over 268. Where do you think?
176 to 205 is where he typically lands. So
Debo, over under 50 and a half.
Over. Diggs out.
Boom.
Oh, yes. He probably lets up yards too.
Boom. And this contest is free to enter. And if you win place, you get free money. My first word my parents taught me, Reed, was free. So you can't complain about that. Now let's shift over to the games. Great slate of games coming on. And the first game we are going to Steelers hosting the Ravens. Reed, any read on this game? What are you thinking about this, my man?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at this game, it's kind of and you're trying to find out how it's going to go. It's kind of a tale of two things. If you look at how these teams have performed this year, you're like, okay, Baltimore's probably the better team than Pittsburgh, but historically, these guys always play each other tight. Pickett, I guess, is going to go today for the Steelers with that bone bruise on his knee. But I don't know. I think, Baltimore's a much better team than Pittsburgh. Baltimore hasn't really been tested yet this year. They've been playing some subpar quarterbacks. Stroud in the rain in his first start. Last week they played Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I'm not saying Kenny Pickett's going to be an upgrade, but we'll see how Baltimore does against, a solid Steelers team. They haven't looked great. The defense is talented, but I think Baltimore probably wins and covers this one. Low scoring affair.
So let me ask you this: for those watching who don't know, Reed actually he was in the battlefield, former college quarterback. What are your initial thoughts on Mr. Smallhands?
I wasn't very high on him coming in. I always felt like he's not going to push you or elevate you to anything. He's got a little wiggle. He's not a bad athlete at all. But I just. I don't think he's in a great spot with his offensive coordinator, but I don't know. He's already had a couple, minor injuries. He's not the biggest of guys. And he doesn't push the ball downfield very well for me, but he's also not asked to a bunch. So it's hard to get a whole grade with him, with Matt Canada. But I think it was like a couple of weeks ago, he threw 2 touchdowns, and it was his first 2 touchdown passing game. And it took him 15 or 16 games or whatever. So.
Did you see what Antonio Brown tweeted out? Antonio Brown tweeted out, Matt Canada needs to go back to Canada.
When did he tweet that?
Look, I hate to do this to you, but we're on opposite sides to start off. I gave this one out Tuesday on my little weekly live stream that I do. I'm on the Steelers here plus 4.5. We got Tomlin as a dog is 65% ATS, as a home dog, 76% ATS, 59% off a loss. As a dog against Harbaugh, now this is the one that absolutely blew my mind. 11-2-2, that's 84.6% against the number. Full disclosure, I bet the Ravens last week. That was the least impressive 24-3 victory that I've seen. I really feel that if Watson played, they would have lost that game. I haven't been impressed with the offense. The best play last week was Jackson running the ball. Steelers rush game looked to get it going a little bit. I think the Steelers are going to force Jackson to throw the ball to the outside of hash marks, which he's kind of struggled doing to. Bottom 3rd quarterback in the league. I think they're going to be able to take advantage of that. Plus, they have some injuries, man. Staley's out. When we don't see Staley on the line for them, they tend to struggle a little bit. And this is just what Tomlin does, man. He just, when they look like shit, he just puts them in a position. He's great when it's me against the world. And, I'm on them plus the 4.5. Riley checks in. She is getting excited for some football Sunday. My boy Sports Facts checks in. Hell of a call in Wyoming and Louisville. We should have gotten the money. Yeah, we should have. This was my money robin parlay yesterday, Reed. Let me lay it out for you. We had Wyoming and Louisville. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So that's 2 plus 200s. Can't really complain about that. The other leg was we had Arizona State, which was a complete cluster F on how to lose a game.
Yeah.
And then the first game, what was it? It was Missouri. And they were up the whole time.
Yeah.
And then they didn't even end up covering because of that goddamn pick.
Yeah, I had plus 6.5 from early in the week. It was pretty tough.
It could have been a miraculous 4 for 4 on the money line, but we can't complain.
Wow.
But we're here to talk some NFL, so let's switch our attention over to the next game, and it is the Panthers against the Lions. Reed from earlier, he thinks the Lions roll. Why is that, my friend?
Well, I don't think Carolina's very good. Their receivers are, brutal. They don't really create much separation. I think Young's in a really tough spot. He's at a really rough go of it so far. I don't think Reich's necessarily setting him up great. They don't really have a great run game. Their running back Miles Sanders hasn't gotten anything going this year. And the best the offense has looked is when Dalton played against Seattle. That's the best the offense has looked. So I just it's in Detroit. I just can't see Carolina like putting up too much of a fight. Lions are favored by 10. I think the Lions just kind of roll here. I don't have a pick in this game, spread wise, but I'd be, if you had to lean one way, you'd lean Detroit because I just can't justify backing Carolina right now.
So I'm still in Survivor. Is this a game you'd look to take?
This would be one. This would be one, yeah. Anytime you're going against Carolina, they just really are struggling, and it's a good year to have their pick. For my Bears.
Oh, dude. Now, for those who don't know, Reed came on the first week of my stream, and I laid out a scenario where this would be happening, where the Bears.
Oh, no, you would have losing on Thursday.
Yeah, I did have him losing on Thursday. Sports facts: lots of injuries for the Lions. My boy, I hate the Lakers. Gino crying from the USC game. If USC would have lost, Gino would be crying. Yeah. Gino is down in Dallas right now. His girlfriend's brother is getting married, so he's probably enjoying a nice wedding brunch right now, which is always good on a Sunday morning. So look, I had in my head as soon as this got to 10, I was gonna take the Lions. When the Panthers, I was gonna take the Panthers. As soon as this got to 10, I clicked in the Panthers, just a situation play. Lions just coming off beating the Packers.
Yeah.
Huge game. And I'll admit it, Bryce Young looks like shit. I had CJ Stroud as my top quarterback. Goff looks great. Panthers are saying they need to trade for a wide receiver one, even though they have Terrence Marshall. Panthers have all these injuries. Panthers aren't going to be able to move the ball. But with all that being said, this is just a pure situational fade on the Lions coming off a primetime game. This is the biggest favorite they've been in like 7-8 years. There's no way they should be laying this big of a number. I'm taking the head with the Panthers. Yeah, go ahead.
And that's fair. The spot, coming off a big win and anything. Yeah. Do you discount, though, any of the fact that big win came all the way last Thursday and they've had kind of a mini bye here to get ready for this one?
I look at it like this. Knowing that team, they probably partied Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. Those guys were probably partying. And I get your point. It's on extended rest, but also there's no St. Brown.
Yeah. That hurts.
What's his face? Williamson is just coming back from the gambling suspension. Has a groin or a
He's always got a groin.
He's got some sort of soft tissue injury.
Yeah,
groin, whatever. So that
is either, but they don't use them. So,
and Gibbs is hurt too. Gibbs came up on.
They don't use them, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's because it was an awful pick. They could have had Jalen Carter, but that's another thing. I just don't trust him in the spot. Like, look, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I have my Lions hat on. I have my 3-1-3 shirt on underneath. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't trust this team in this spot. I'm taking the 10.
That's fair.
Next game, we are going, and I'm just reminding everybody, there's 3 teams this show is all about. The Falcons, Browns, and Texans. And the Texans and the Falcons play against each other. I'm like a proud Papa Torn. I'm a proud Papa Torn right here, but I have a bet in this game.
I have one too.
All right, man. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean, if this guy has any pride, has any athletic accomplishment in his life, if he wants to ever play in this league, Desmond Ritter's going to put it on the Texans today. Falcons -2.5. Get Bijan going at home. Arthur Smith, throw the ball to Kyle Pitts for once in your life. I have the Falcons -2.5 today.
I love it. Same thing I'm on as well. Look, I look at NFL like this. Football is this. Buying low, selling high. The stock market.
Yeah.
Look, I've been on the Texans 2 weeks in a row. I'm on their over total. Great start. I have CJ Stroud to win the Rookie of the Year. Now I'm getting out. This is their all-time high. They have struggled. They're 29th DVOA defending the run. PFF, which grades every single offensive line versus defensive line matchups, grades this as the highest one. I think this is just a great spot for the Falcons. Heavy Bijan Robinson game. For those that listen to the podcast, Nick was adamant. If there's one guy you play in DFS this week, it is Bijan Robinson. You have to play Bijan. Texans, 2-game win streak, and their dogs on the road, 44% against the number. Spot just says to fade him here. Reed and I are totally with our boy. Let's make some money. Falcons all the way. Let's lock that one in at -2.5. The next one, we're going up to Foxborough. We got the Patriots against the Saints. Reed, any strong feelings in this one, my man?
I do have some strong feelings in this one. Going to school out in the East, I was around a lot of Patriots fans, and it caused a lot of great disdain for that franchise for me. But sadly today they are going to beat the New Orleans Saints, and I'd also say cover. I think it's a pick number -1. I don't like this Saints team at all. I think this offense is just brutal to watch. Carr's banged up. I don't even think he should be playing right now. I don't think he gives them the best chance to win. He looked terrible last week. Did you see what Kamara's stat line was last week?
Yes.
He caught 13 passes for 38 yards. We can't pull it up, but go look at Derek Carr's passing chart. It was comical. Like, he's just throwing stuff behind the line of scrimmage, hoping guys run free, like break 4 tackles. It was ridiculous. So I got New England. I think Belichick. I got the New England. I got under in this game too. Belichick's. I don't see New Orleans cracking 14 points. I know New England's had their struggles. I know Mac Jones is kind of, not great, but I think New England at home. This is kind of a must-win game for them, and I just think they're. I don't think they're great by any stretch, but they're better than New Orleans. I think New Orleans is not great. I don't sports facts. I don't know why they're throwing Carr out there.
That's the thing. Like, how bad is Winston?
Yeah.
If they're throwing Carr out there, that's something you have to think about. Look, I'm on the Patriots as well. I got a -1.5. Carr historically struggles on the road. His yards per game, completion percentage, TDs are all gone. Plus, he has a shoulder surgery, and you mentioned the Kamara stat line. 14 targets, 13 catches, 33 yards. He can't throw the ball down the field. He cannot throw the ball down the goddamn field. And you're telling me that Belichick is not going to be able to come up with a game plan? They're 8th overall DVOA, 12th DVOA defending the pass. Look, I know Jordan and Gonzalez, they're out. But Carr's so banged up, he can't take advantage of it. It doesn't effing matter. Belichick, off of a loss, 68.3% ATS. And I'm into these trends. I'm looking at Mac Jones. Mac Jones is a favorite, sucks. No, sorry, as a dog, sucks. As a favorite, he's 63% ATS. Yep. Buying low, selling high. Teams that have lost by 35 points or more the previous week, 64% ATS. Teams that have scored 3 points or less the previous week, 61% ATS. Saints offense has struggled this season. Carr is at his best with the play action passing. They're not doing enough of that. I think the Patriots will be able to cause some pressure because the Saints offensive line has struggled. Plus, the weakness of the Saints defense is the rush defense. I think the Pats are going to lean on Stevenson and Elliott. I absolutely love the Patriots, and I locked it in at -1.5. So Reed, besides the hiccup to start, we have a lot of agreement going into this.
We'll see. We'll see. I can't put money on Matt Canada.
Next game. Going down to Miami, possibly some weather issues. We got the Giants and the Fins. What say you, my friend?
Well, this is a tough one. Miami, they score 70 and on, look unstoppable against Denver, and then they kind of come back to earth against Buffalo. I'm sure you were on the Bills that week with your sell high motto. And if I don't know about the weather. I think this is an interesting spot. You have the Dolphins, who just got majorly humbled against the Bills. And then you have the New York Giants, who just got embarrassed on Monday night. I know the game was kind of close for a while. It's not embarrassed in terms of a blowout, but just the offense, I think Jones was sacked 11 times, 12 times. I mean, it was just pitiful what they were doing. And this is a team who just made the playoffs. And I don't know, they've been the worst first half team in football. In Miami has been pretty good in the first half, I'd imagine, this year. So I think it's a weird spot, but I weirdly think, the Giants is kind of a last stand. Hey, we're going to turn things around. It's got to be this week. So I kind of think a lot of points get scored today in this one. I mean, but that's before you told me about the weather. I don't know. I don't have a great read on the spread. I'd imagine Miami wins, but what say you?
So here's the thing. They score 70 points. Armstead was in the game. Armstead's an offensive lineman for the Fins.
Yeah.
They were toe-to-toe with the Bills. And what happened? Armstead got – what just happened in the background? Who just scored right there, buddy? Who just scored?
It wasn't a score. It was a pass breakup by
All right.
Bill's own
So they Armstead went out. And when Armstead went out, the offense kind of fell off the rail. They had trouble protecting too. I think Armstead's a big thing. And the big thing is can the Giants take advantage of it? But on the flip side, the Giants are going to be without not one, not two, but 3 offensive linemen, which is absolutely big. I don't know what to do here. I think that the Fins struggle without Armstead, but they're playing the Giants, who have been an absolute train wreck, who are without 3 offensive linemen. I want to somehow in my head get to the Giants.
Yeah.
But I don't see a path. So with that, I'm doing one of these, buddy. Wiping my hands. Stay away. I will say this. I'm in 3 survivors for the Circa, the big boy one. I used the Falcons this week. Ouch. For the other two, I used the Miami Dolphins. Let's keep it going here. We're going to go to Indianapolis, and we have the Titans on the road against the Colts. What say you? Vrabel's not a dog, so I can't. I can't.
I know. I like Indy. This I think Steichen is just a great coach. I think he's doing a lot with not a lot in Indianapolis. I know Richardson's stats may not be the best or anything. If you watch him, that guy's got it. He's making some throws that are just absurd. Last week against the Rams was really impressive. Just kind of how he they knew he was throwing and he was still able to bring them back. Oh boy, Ridley just got pretzeled. And I like Indy today with 3 points, home divisional dog against Tennessee. Taylor's getting back. The roof's open. I like Indy today. Tennessee, I just have some questions about him. That offense with Tannehill just doesn't do it for me. Henry doesn't look as good. Oh, there goes ETN down the sideline. Henry doesn't look as good. I don't know. Hopkins hasn't been a big impact player for them. And Vrabel's not a dog. So I got Indy plus a 3. I think Steichen's a great coach. I think Richardson's only going to get better. Give me Indy plus 3 here.
Okay, so Vrabel favorite 47%. I don't want anything to do with the side. I want nothing to do with the side. I don't trust because of how good the Titans front is. Are they going to be able to get to Richardson? What's the offense going to look like? Trying to work Taylor in because Taylor's coming back. Colts are very good against the run. They have DeForest Buckner and crew, but I am going to do this. You mentioned the man, the myth, the legends. I'm going D-Hop. D-Hop over 54.5 yards.
Oh, that Colts secondary you can get.
Colts give up the 7th most yards per game to opposing wide receivers. Flowers is mainly their starter. He just went NIR. And that means a good matchup just got even better because Reed, remind me how many DBs PFF grades?
109.
And Baker, who's replaced him, is PFF grade 108. Or he's going to be matched up with 7th round pick Jones. And Jones is a slower 40 time than you, my friend. Jones' 40 time is 4.6. So I just don't think they're going to be able to keep up with D-Hop on the outside. Hopkins leads the Titans with 28% target share, averaging 8 targets a game. With those two out, I think this is a great matchup for Hopkins. And with how good DeForest Buckner and Carrard against the run, Hopkins has gone over this total 2 of the 4 games to start the season. Give me D-Hop over 54.5 yards. Whew.
All right.
Now, we're going over to Zona hosting the Bengals. This line has dropped, my friend. We saw this line all the way 5.5, all the way down to 3. Are the Cardinals are the
this game.
You got something? Lay it on me, big dog.
Listen, if you had no prior knowledge of these two teams, you didn't take anything from last year, and you just watched these two teams on the football field this year.
Yeah.
Who would be favored?
The Cardinals.
The Cardinals. And they're getting 3 at home. I know Burrow said his calf's better, and so I don't know how much of that's true, how much of that's just, him saying, I'm good to go. I don't know. I just I don't have a pick here, but I think the Cardinals are live in this spot against the Bengals. I think 3 points, it's telling you a lot. I think if this was played week 1, I think the Bengals would be 7 to 8 points. The Cardinals, I got to shout out Drew Petzing, offensive coordinator, Middlebury grad. He's done a great job with that offense. I know, relatively, compared to who their leading players are. It's Josh Dobbs, Marquise Brown, and James Conner. And, he had them scoring 30 plus on the Cowboys, scoring, enough on the 49ers. They only had 6 or 7 possessions in that game because the Niners dominated the clock so much. It was if gun to my head, I'd say the Cardinals win this game.
I wanted to take the Cardinals here, but on the flip side, the line value's gone. It just is. It's gone. Yeah. In terms of DFS, for those that like play the DFS game, I mentioned Connor in the parlay play thing. I think he's a very good guy because he just gets all the target shares. And if Joe Burrow's allegedly dead, like everyone else is saying, it's got to be a Joe Mixon game. So, I mean, I think those are the two guys. If you're using DFS, you kind of look. I want absolutely nothing to do with this game. Yeah. I want nothing to do with it. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to take it all in as someone heavily invested in some Browns futures. And I hope the Cardinals win off the record. Now we're going to shift to a very intriguing game. We got the Los Angeles Rams hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. What say you, my friend?
Yeah, I think this is an interesting one. I'm on the Rams plus the 4.5 here today. I think Hurts, road favorite, I believe is 5-10 against the spread. This Philly team, I know they're 4-0. I don't think they've looked all that great this year. I think some of their wins have looked a little worse. They went to OT with the Commanders, who got pretty easily handled by Chicago. Only won by 6 against Minnesota. I know a lot of that was garbage time. Only won by 5 against New England. That doesn't look as good. This Rams team, they kind of have some, Kupp's coming back. Nakua's been a godsend. I think McVay and Stafford at home, in a primetime game, in this spot. Give me the 4.5. Not saying outright, but I think they keep this one competitive. Phillies looked a little lackluster at times this year. And that offense, it came alive against Minnesota and Washington, but I wouldn't put those in the top, 90% of NFL defenses. They're bottom 10. Those are two of some of the worst defenses I've seen. So I got the Rams here.
I took the Rams plus 4.5. The weakness of this Eagles defense is defending the pass. Plus, they have injuries in the back four. Stafford has looked solid this season. 307.25 yards. That's how many he's averaging the game. You mentioned Cooper Kupp is on track. It's looking like he's going to play. Sports Facts says he's going to be limited. Even if he does play, what does that mean with the injuries? Obviously, Bradbury will probably cover the inside where Kupp's going to be lined up. That means better matchups because of the injuries for Puka, Van Jefferson, and the middle linebacker who covers the tight end, which would be Higbee, is out. So they're going to be out. The Eagles are going to be out without their middle linebacker and two of their top three cornerbacks. Great matchup for the Rams playmakers. Juergens, who is an offensive lineman for the Eagles, got hurt. Now, the reason this is a big deal is everyone knows what a big offensive line, defensive line I am. And in past years, the Eagles have had so much depth, and injury like this wouldn't matter. Now we're starting to see these backups being poached by other teams, so the depth isn't there. So this is going to be something Donald and crew are going to be able to take advantage of. Eagles are 3-0 this year in one-score games. Are they this year's Falcons? Was it? Yeah, it was Falcons last year. Are they this year's Falcons winning the three? Not Falcons, Vikings. Are these Vikings winning the one-score games? Teams that are 4-0 on the road in week 5, and their favorites are 43% ATS. That comes to the selling high part. Flip side, teams on a 4-game ATS win streak, which the Rams are, that are home dogs, 62% ATS. You mentioned the coach for the Colts and the Cards, former coordinators for the Eagles. I think the in-game adjustment and the game plan and the stuff that happens during the game and at halftime has taken a back seat. They're not as crisp as last year. Hurts has some happy feet in the pocket, isn't able to throw the ball down the field. Look, I'm on the Rams here. Give me the plus 4.5 all flipping day.
Yeah.
Next game, we're going to Kansas City at Minnesota. Before we jump into all this, did you know Taylor Swift is dating Travis Kelce?
I did, yes.
I had no idea.
You were really with the news. You knew this was going on for a while.
I literally had no clue those two were dating. Like, no clue. This is like, I can't stand Travis Kelce. Just ever since that shitty ass reality dating show that he had on VH1.
What's the old Travis?
I mean, Shefty has just tweeted out Saquon Barkley officially is inactive versus the Dolphins. And also I don't know. I just don't like Travis Kelce. I don't like, ever since that reality dating show, just not a fan. In terms of this game, I do have one bet in it, but I wanted to hear what you have going on, my friend. Lay it on me.
Yeah, so I don't have a bet for this one, but that's something to look out for here. Is there's kind of a rule, or not a rule in the NFL, but if you really want to win, you can't blitz Mahomes in Kansas City, and Brian Flores on Minnesota is a sicko with how much he loves to blitz. So I think this might be an interesting game. If Flores is going to change his ways, or if he's going to say, "All right, let's beat it," or let's blitz him anyway. Ironically, it could be a big game for Travis Kelce. As that tight end, that safety blanket, throwing to when you get blitzed. But I don't know, Minnesota this year, you're seeing some regression to the mean on them. I don't like them. I'm not going to take anything here. Kansas City seemingly always finds a way not to cover as favorites, but yeah, I think this could be a high scoring one too, especially in the Dome in Minnesota. But yeah, I think something to look out for is how much Flores ends up blitzing Kansas City because he loves to, but Mahomes is the best against the blitz in the league.
So looking at this, I look at it like I talked about this with Dave Weaver on my show on Tuesday. Are they missing the enemy? Because Mahomes completion percentage down to 64 from 67. Last year, TD to INT ratio 5.5 to 1 last year. This year, 2 to 1. Offense averaging 7 points less per game, Reed. And dude, they've only scored over 24 points once, and that was against your lonely Chicago Bears, man. Am I crazy, dude?
I don't know if you're crazy. You might be. I don't know if it's the reason though. I'm sure it hurts a little bit that Matt Nagy's more involved, but I don't know. Like I think the receiving core is maybe the bigger issue. They're not creating as much separation, and Juju did a lot for that team last year as just kind of like a guy they could rely on outside of Kelsey. Rashee Rice seems to maybe be making steps, but they're kind of banking on like one out of 4 or 5 guys to break out. And I don't think they consider the possibility that that none of them do. It's just been a weird start to the year for Kansas City because they looked really explosive against the Jets, and it looked like they kind of just put it on cruise control, and then not thinking Zach Wilson would play the game of his life. But
you mentioned the bet I have, the player prop I'm going on. I'm going to Rashee Rice. Look, over 30.5 yards receiving. Vikings give up the 3rd most receiving yards per game to opposing wide receivers. The key thing about Rice, his usage, routes, snaps played, everything has gone up each game. He's gone over this his last two. And we've mentioned PFF grades. They grade 109 DBs. He's going to be matched up against Murphy, whose PFF grade is 94 to 109. I think this is a good Rice game. And here's a little trivia question for you, Reed. Who leads the Chiefs in red zone targets?
Rashee Rice.
Rashee Rice he leads them in red zone targets. I absolutely love that player prop over it. Obviously, Nick on the podcast said that Rice would be someone pretty good to include in your DFS lineup, something to remember while putting them together. Next game, we're going to the Mile High City. ESPN's reporting Broncos are going to be sellers. Gregory's on his way to San Francisco. You have the Jets coming into town. What say you, my friend?
I mean, listen, I don't want any part of this game in terms of a side. Looking at it, Zach Wilson's coming off a big game for him, where, people are like, whoa, he didn't look like the worst quarterback we've ever seen for 4 quarters. And then, the Broncos quietly, the offense has not been like as much of an issue. Russell Wilson's having a decent year. I think where they've gotten into trouble is the defense, letting up 70 to Miami, letting the Commanders, come all the way back on them in the second half. But Russell Wilson's quietly, put up some good numbers against some not great defenses, I must say. But, I think it's just a weird one. You have 2 teams that, the Jets defense is good, but I don't know if it'll travel. The Broncos defense was supposed to be good. I'd imagine the Broncos, I'd lean Broncos win this one just because they're at home elevation. But, oh, boy, I don't know how much time I'll be tuning into this one.
Let Russ cook. I got one in this one. I hate it. I absolutely hate it, my friend.
Don't say the over 43.
Dude, I'm doing the Broncos here.
Oh,
I'm on the Broncos.
All right.
I got them at -2. Look, thought process is this. Just a letdown spot for the Jets.
Yeah.
You just play a Sunday night game. Everyone's saying how Zach Wilson always learns so much from Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers, which everyone and their aunt says is a bad teammate, whose whole family has basically disowned him, is taking Zach Wilson under his arm to mentor him.
I don't know. Did you watch Hard Knocks? They seem pretty close.
Dude, I don't watch Hard Knocks. Like I don't watch Hard Knocks. I just think it's going to be an issue for them. I think it's going to be a heavy run game. That for everyone that is hyping the Jets defense, they do struggle against the run. I think that the Broncos defensively probably figured out some stuff the second half against the Bears. I think this is just a bounce back spot. I don't trust Zach Wilson on it. Riley chimes in, go Broncos. Hopefully Russ can get it cooking. I'm on the -2, anything less than a field goal. I look at it like this. What is Zach Wilson showing you when you're like, oh shit, I can trust this guy with my money?
Nothing.
And you mentioned the offense has looked good. And I'd be really careful. I know Saleh said no snap count limits or whatever for Priest Hall, but he also said he was going to be working Dalvin Cook into the script. So I'd be really leery with that.
There is a revenge factor here for Nathaniel Hackett. He probably wants to beat Sean Payton pretty bad.
So here's the thing. Nate Hackett could be the worst coach ever. Worst coach ever. Living proof why you should never hire your friends if you're an NFL coach. Last game, Sunday night game, obviously, game of the day. Oh my God, another injury for the Broncos. Now the Broncos are Bills.
Yeah, I can't tell who that is. Yeah, they're having guys go down. They had Milano go down earlier.
Last game, we got the Cowboys against the 49ers. Oh my God, game of the day. Mike McCarthy leading the boys in the town. What say you, my friend?
Oh boy, I do a pick for this one as well. I hate it. It disgusts me. I want no part of it. But I think the Dallas Cowboys plus the 4 or 3.5, whatever you're getting them at, is a pretty good bet. I think San Francisco, they've played some not great teams this year, or not great defenses at least. I don't think Purdy's been pressured much. I think Dallas is going to get after him a little. I think this is going to be an old-fashioned slugfest. And I'd want the team at the points in that sense. It's going to probably look like the playoff game last year. I don't love the San Fran offensive line. I love Trent Williams, but the rest of it is kind of shaky. I think Dallas can get some pressure on Purdy. And Purdy, when pressured, I believe is like 27th EPA per play, or in the league. I got Dallas here with the points. San Fran could still easily win, but I got Dallas.
I don't know what I'm going to do here. I really have no idea what I'm going to do. Teams won by 30 points or more, 47% ATS. Teams that won by 35 or more, 42% ATS. Can the Cowboys offensive line protect Dak? One thing with their offensive line coach, whose name, of course, I'm spacing on, his teams historically struggle in pass pro, are great in run pro. Parsons banged up. We saw him grabbing his leg. What's that going to be like? What is this leg injury? He hasn't really shown up on any reports. How are the 49ers going to take advantage of Stephon Diggs not being there? CMC struggling, holding his neck. What's his health situations? Cowboys struggle versus the run. I feel the 49ers can be exploited against the pass. Look, Purdy's look great, but can you trust him in this game? And this is also the Cowboys Super Bowl. I really feel like the Cowboys look back, they felt they need to get more vertical. So now you have Gallup, Cooks, Lamb, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I feel like they're building just to beat the 49ers, even though you have the Eagles right there in their same division, but that's another story. I think this is their Super Bowl. I'm trying to talk myself into the Cowboys, but I think the 49ers have a better roster. Maybe I'll play Michael Gallup receiving yards over. That's kind of where my head is right now. But in terms of sides, I'm sitting this one out. It looks like I may do a player proper too. For the captain spot, you ready for my ballsy captain spot? I'm going Michael Gallup. I'm going Michael Gallup in my captain spot for DFS. Go big or go home. We do have 2 quick questions before we clock out. I hate the Lakers. Any first TD props you guys like? I don't know.
This isn't one I maybe really thought over. Maybe David Montgomery in Detroit, Carolina. With Gibbs
Okay,
out, he'll get all the look.
I got two deep ones. Okay. First one, I'm pulling up BetStamp. If you guys are not using BetStamp, you are insanely missing out. Easy way to check any lines to kind of see who has the best lines. Jalen Waddle, 8-1, first TD in the Miami Dolphins game against the Giants. You guys heard me hyping him. Let's see what he is. Let's see what old Rashee Rice is. First TD, 17-1. You know, those would be the two ones that I would go into. Also, I Hate the Lakers chimes in. Also, Survivor. Who should I use? Like I said, Circa, I used the Falcons. My other two, I just did the Dolphins.
Detroit's not a bad one either.
I don't trust the Lions, dude. As someone rocking a Lions hat, I don't trust the
I have
Lions.
some faith.
I don't trust it. Reed, I'd like to thank you for coming in, being a super sub, talking some NFL. Make sure you give him a follow at RBanucci12 on X, Twitter, or whatever Elon Musk is calling it this week. Let's make some money. Let's cash some tickets, and we'll talk later, my friend.
Yep.